Imagine a Hollywood legend, a name that sparks images of epic adventures, iconic heroes, and dazzling success. Harrison Ford. But what if I told you that behind the glitz and glamour lies a story so heartbreaking it'll leave you stunned? From crushing career setbacks to devastating personal losses, Harrison Ford's life is a roller coaster of triumphs and tragedies that most of us never hear about. Stick with me until the end of this video because you won't believe the untold struggles this Star Wars icon faced to become the legend we know today. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment of this incredible journey. Let's start at the very beginning, where Harrison Ford's story kicks off with a dream. Growing up in Chicago, Harrison wasn't born with a silver spoon or a clear path to stardom. He was just a regular guy trying to figure out what he wanted from life. In college, he stumbled into a drama class and something clicked. The idea of acting lit a fire in him. It wasn't about fame or money, at least not yet. It was about finding something that felt alive, something that wasn't the dull, predictable routine of a desk job. Acting was exciting, creative, and challenging. But here's the thing, just because you find your passion doesn't mean the world rolls out a red carpet for you. Harrison learned that the hard way. When he decided to pursue acting, Harrison packed his bags and headed to Hollywood full of hope. But the reality of breaking into the industry hit him like a ton of bricks. His first auditions? Total flops. He was nervous, inexperienced, and the casting directors weren't exactly lining up to give him a chance. After some grinding, he managed to land a few small roles, think bit parts in TV shows or movies where he was lucky to get a single line. But even those tiny opportunities didn't go smoothly. Harrison was trying his best, but the feedback was brutal. Directors and producers often dismissed him, saying he lacked the star quality they were looking for. Can you imagine how crushing that must have been? You're chasing your dream, pouring your heart into it, and people are basically telling you you're not good enough. One of the lowest points came when Harrison landed a small role as a bellboy in a film directed by a big-shot Hollywood executive named Jerry Tarkovsky. It was a tiny part, but for Harrison it was a chance to prove himself. He gave it everything he had, but Tarkovsky wasn't impressed. In fact, he was so disappointed with Harrison's performance that he didn't just criticize him, he took it a step further. Tarkovsky made sure Harrison's name was pushed way down the list for future acting gigs. In Hollywood, that's like being blacklisted. It's a gut punch, especially for someone who's already struggling to get a foot in the door. Harrison's confidence took a massive hit. He started to wonder if he made a huge mistake betting on this acting dream. But the pain wasn't just emotional. Harrison was also facing real-world problems. He wasn't just trying to support himself, he had a family to take care of. With acting gigs drying up, money became tight, really tight. So what did he do? He didn't give up, but he had to pivot. Harrison taught himself carpentry and started working as a carpenter to pay the bills. Picture this, the guy we now know as Han Solo and Indiana Jones was building furniture and fixing houses, wondering if he'd ever make it in Hollywood. It's humbling, right? He was out there hammering nails while his dream of acting felt like it was slipping further away every day. For years, Harrison juggled carpentry and small acting jobs, hoping for a break. And let me tell you, those years were tough. He wasn't living the glamorous life we associate with movie stars. He was grinding, dealing with rejection after rejection, and trying to keep his family afloat. But Harrison had something special, a stubborn determination to keep going. And that persistence finally paid off. One day, while working as a carpenter, he got a call that changed everything. A young director named George Lucas was casting for a little sci-fi movie called Star Wars. Harrison auditioned, and the rest, as they say, is history. He landed the role of Han Solo, and suddenly, the world knew his name. Star Wars was a massive hit, and Harrison Ford became a household name overnight. He went from struggling carpenter to Hollywood's leading man, starring in blockbuster after blockbuster. Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, The Fugitive, you name it, he crushed it. For a while, it seemed like Harrison had it all. Fame, success, and the kind of career most actors only dream of. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Just when his career was soaring, his personal life started to unravel. And the tragedies began to pile up. Let's talk about one of the most shocking chapters in Harrison's life, his divorce from Melissa Matheson. If you thought Hollywood divorces were messy, this one was on another level. Harrison and Melissa, an Oscar-nominated screenwriter, were married for 18 years. They had 2 kids together and seemed like a solid couple. But in 2001, their marriage fell apart, and it wasn't just a quiet split. It became one of the most expensive divorces in Hollywood history. Why? Because they didn't have a prenuptial agreement. When they parted ways, Melissa walked away with a jaw-dropping $85 million settlement, plus a share of Harrison's future earnings from movies he made during their marriage. That's the kind of money that would make anyone's head spin. Now, We don't know all the details of what led to their divorce. Relationships are complicated, and Harrison has always been private about his personal life. But losing a marriage of 18 years and shelling out millions in the process, that's not just a financial hit, it's an emotional one too. Imagine going through a painful breakup in the public eye with headlines splashing your personal struggles for the world to see. It's the kind of thing that would weigh heavily on anyone, even a tough guy like Harrison Ford. But the divorce wasn't the only heartache Harrison faced. As a father, he went through something even more gut-wrenching watching his daughter, Georgia, battle a serious health condition. When Georgia was a child, she started having seizures. At first, doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong, and that uncertainty was terrifying for Harrison and his family. Seizures are scary enough, but not knowing the cause? That's a parent's worst nightmare. Harrison once shared a horrifying story about a time when Georgia had a seizure on a beach, and a director happened to find her just in time. Can you imagine the panic, the helplessness he must have felt? For years, Georgia struggled with seizures that disrupted her life. She tried to live normally, but the illness made it nearly impossible. Harrison, despite his tough guy image on screen, was deeply affected. In 2016, he gave a tearful speech at an event for NYU Langone Medical Center's epilepsy research, opening up about how hard it was to see his daughter suffer. He talked about the desperation of not knowing how to help her, the fear that every seizure could be worse than the last. Eventually, the family got answers when doctors at NYU diagnosed Georgia with epilepsy. With the right treatment, she went 8 years without a seizure, which was a huge relief. But those years of worry, fear, and pain left a mark on Harrison. No amount of fame or money can erase the trauma of watching your child suffer. If that wasn't enough, Harrison also faced devastating losses in his relationships with close friends and co-stars. One of the most heartbreaking was the death of Carrie Fisher, his Star Wars co-star, and for a time, his romantic partner. Not everyone knows this, but Harrison and Carrie had a brief but intense affair during the filming of Star Wars in the 1970s. Carrie revealed it years later in her memoir, The Princess Diarist. Even after their romance ended, they stayed close, bonded by their shared experience as part of one of the biggest movie franchises ever. So when Carrie passed away suddenly in 2016 from a heart attack, it hit Harrison hard. Carrie was only 60, and her death shocked the world. For Harrison, it was personal. He called her one of a kind, praising her humor, courage, and fearless spirit. In a public statement, he said she lived her life bravely and that everyone would miss her. You could feel the weight of his grief in those words. Losing someone who was both a friend and a key part of his career wasn't just a loss, it was a reminder of how fragile life can be, even for those who seem untouchable. Another blow came with the death of River Phoenix, a young actor Harrison worked with in the 1986 film The Mosquito Coast. In the movie, Harrison played River's father, and off-screen their bond was just as strong. River looked up to Harrison, calling him a father figure and his favorite actor. Harrison in turn took River under his wing, mentoring him and helping him shine in the role. He even recommended River to director Steven Spielberg for another project, praising how much the young actor reminded him of himself at that age. Their connection was special, almost like family. So, what's your take on Harrison Ford's incredible journey? Did you know about the struggles he faced behind the scenes, or were you only familiar with his Hollywood triumphs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know your favorite Harrison Ford performance. Mine's gotta be Indiana Jones, but I'm curious about yours. If you enjoyed this deep dive into his life, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories about the stars you love. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.